Welcome back to the channel, guys. As promised, I've got 3 cycles that I'm going to look at in today's video. 3 cycles leading into the peaks of the market later this decade. Now, I've glossed over some of these in recent videos, but to the new subscribers, thanks again, guys. I just want to dive into those in just a little more detail for you so you can catch up with where we sit in the cycle. I'm going to look at Bitcoin today, stock markets, real estate cycle, and also altcoins that I am watching as we lead into the end stages of this cycle. If you like the sound of that, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. Definitely helps out the YouTube algorithm. And let's see if we can smash 3,500 again. 3,500 likes. Thanks again for your support. And this obviously is helping many of you. We get a lot of comments like this, helping you zoom out, get perspective, and understand where we sit in the cycle. All right, let's do it. Let's kick it off with BTC. I'll get into those cycles, short term and then the longer term stuff. So strap in, let's go. BTC has been bouncing like a ball off every single 50% level. We have the longer term 50%. That's what this line down here is at 56,000. So the actual line is at 56.5. We got up to the top. Essentially, the theory that I've had on the channel for several reasons, as I'll touch on in a moment, is that this was getting overheated in late February, early March, based on several data points, and that it was time to cool off. Not go to 100 grand, not go to 80,000, etc. So we've done that. We've come back down and cooled off. Things are getting very quiet out there. We can see that from the metrics that are used. I'm looking at Google Trends. I'm looking at YouTube Analytics, etc. 50% hit. There were several other 50% on the way down. It just kept getting rejected. You might remember that along the way. Now, it's bounced from this point, hit 50% again, 65,000. And over the last few days, it has come down, zooming in here, and now has caught the smaller 50%, so the shorter time frame here. That one is going from the daily low to the daily high, cutting it in half, giving you $61,000. And yesterday, well, what did it do? Bounced off 50%, came up, and has now closed on 50%. Just a few bucks off that. This is how important those 50% tools are. You can see how the market really plays ball with the 50% level. If I drop it onto a 4-hour chart, you'll be able to see that even clearer. Just straight off the low, hit the top there, not even a close above, came back down, not even a close below, bounced back up and hit 50%. And so what I'm seeing here is the volatility just shrinking out of the market. All that's telling me is that the volatility is really drying up. You guys have probably seen it as well. So if this is the top, we don't have a sign that it is the top yet, but if this is like a short-term top here in a 4-hour, then you would look down to the 50% at 62K, and you might just get this sort of grinding effect. Now, of course, if it comes back up and starts to grind out above 63, better chances it's going to take on 65. And so that leads me to 65 grand. 65 is the key number to hit now. I'll take off these shorter term ones so you can see what I'm talking about. 65 grand is straight through the middle of the low at 56 to the high. That's why this one is the most important level right now, 65,000. While Bitcoin remains under 65K, there's more chance that it is going to come back to test the lower prices. So if it stays under here for the next couple of days, then it's got a better chance it's going to come back down. But if, say, today, we're on into Friday now, so basically the last day of the trading week, of course, there's the weekend, but there's less volume. Hopefully in this day for the bulls that it gets back above and closes above 65,500. The 50% level is at 65,200. So around that 65,002, 65,005, that is the level now that we're watching over the next 24 hours. Closes above that are going to favor the bullish side of the market, allow it to hopefully consolidate to then take on the next level, which is 67. That was a pretty key level on the way down, several 50% levels on the way down. And so that's why that one is the next key level after 65. But for now, short term, 65, 65.5, that is the key level for Bitcoin. I'm not getting excited for this rally unless it's able to break above and close for at least 3 days. I need the 3 days now above $65,500. And then we can start to look at those next prices. So for now, 50, let's move it over. We're now at 57 days underneath the old all-time high. It's precisely what we were looking at when it came to the 3 days down rule. You guys mentioned that back here. That helped you just clear your minds and understand that this is probably not going to boom to new all-time highs or anything like that anytime soon. And for now, yeah, we're basically coming into that 2-month period underneath the old all-time high. And so these longer term signals, before I get into those cycles, this is for BTC while we were having the cooling off, was multiple months in the same swing. So this is our Gann swing indicator. Links to all that in the video description. This is a primary tool for my own trading. If you want to learn more about it, there's a 7-day free trial. As I said, link in the video description, check it out. Right now, we are into our 2nd month down. We had 7 green months up, 6 in the swing. The probabilities showed that it was unlikely that we were going to get more than 7 months in the same swing. 6 months in that swing, which is this yellow here, happens about, well, at the time was less than that because we only had 8 chances there. So it was 8 times that we'd seen 6 months in the swing. Essentially what I'm saying here is there was a very low probability that we were going to see 7 months up. That's one of the first things that showed us that we weren't going to keep going, while everyone was going crazy about 100 grand Bitcoin and how this was the fastest of all time and all sorts of things to push it even higher and higher. That's the thing that we see at tops. So never forget that. That's the way I trade the market. I don't forget those things because we will see it again at the next top. I've seen it every single top throughout the history of Bitcoin, throughout the history of cryptos, throughout the history of trading stocks, throughout real estate. You get to any top in the market, people believe that it has to go further based on several other factors that are the narrative at the time. With that in mind, we are into the grind stage now of consolidating before we go to that new top, which is a good chance for us to get over to our 3 cycles. The first being the real estate and economic cycle. This is not the stock market cycle, real estate and economic cycle. I see some comments about that every so often. Essentially, this is the underlying cycle that drives everything in the world. The point here is that we are on the way up to the final peak. This is called the winner's curse phase. And it's called the winner's curse phase because essentially everyone looks like a genius, whether they're buying real estate, whether they're buying cryptos, whether they're buying some of the sort of assets like watches, any sort of crap that they can get their hands on, put their money into. It should be going up over this period, this next sort of couple of years, give or take. And of course, there's a lot out there. So the main thing here is with real estate and the economic cycle, okay? That's what's happening. Now, this moves every 6 months or so. It's a 14-year move up and about a 4-year move down. Last cycle, the peak was 2006, and it bottomed around 2011, 2012, which is where the next cycle began. So that was about a 5-6 year low. Running into these tops, it takes quite some time. So you're not going to see this thing move every video. Otherwise, it might just have to move a few pixels to the upside, okay? It's a long cycle. Personally, I've been following this cycle since 2012. I wanted to understand when to sell. Everyone was telling me when to buy, but I did not understand when to sell. So that's how I found out about the cycle. It was through some other real estate investments as well. But not to bring a short story into a long one, this is the cycle for now. And of course, we're going to continue to follow up with it on the channel. It's been doing very, very well to keep us on the right side of the market throughout these mega bull markets that began 12, 13 years ago for real estate and the economy. And of course, for the stock market was 2009. So that leads me to the stock market cycle. Now, I'm just looking at it in terms of the seasonal pattern for this year. So this is 2024, and we're looking at it specifically for an election year. And essentially, it's been playing ball. We've got a bit of a trading range happening at the moment for the stock market. And I guess according to the seasonality, that might take us through into June, where it could potentially break out. Now, it has been pretty strong. Maybe it breaks out late May. The main point is that we typically see a trading range at this time of the year, especially in election years, start to head up again, maybe pause again around August, September, have a correction into the election, and then start to go up again for the last, 1-2-ish months of the year. Pay very particular attention. I've seen a few theories that are suggesting that September is going to be the top and that we're going to go into this mega collapse and it's all over. Other data that we've gone through, and I don't want to make this video too long today, but it's suggested that the year 2024 is going to be a bull year, essentially meaning it's going to close higher than it opens. It's that simple. 2024 will close higher than it opens. I'm not expecting a major collapse this year, and there is nothing so far to suggest that that's where we're going with this. It's just another bull market year that'll lead into the final stages of the cycle. Now, where does Bitcoin fit into all of this? Michael's got a great chart. It's my brother here. You can follow him on X, follow him on YouTube, does great content as well, looks at short-term trading. The Bitcoin cycle, many different theories out there. One that we're paying particular attention to is the Elliott wave cycle. People have different views on Elliott wave, whatever you want. I understand why people would have bad opinions of Elliott wave. From what I've seen, most get it very, very wrong when it comes to Elliott wave, but there's 3 simple rules to follow. There are a few other guidelines. So there's simple rules, there are guidelines. Michael lays it out very, very well, and he's been following this on the channel in real time, which is very difficult to do. Hindsight's way easier, but no one makes money in hindsight. So we're doing this in real time, looking at Bitcoin falling into the wave 4 now. So somewhere in this zone is wave 4 before we go into another mega run to the upside. So although I might sound bearish sometimes, trying to keep it real, and I still see a big bull market ahead for Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. The stock markets have obviously been up, but they've had their correction. Real estate as well, that's been showing through. Everything's going up, everything bubble. It's what's going on, but it's a precursor to what comes next, which is a mega collapse. But for now, we've got to focus on making money, then protecting it, and then not trying to get in too early when things start to come down. So that's where we sit now for the Bitcoin cycle. Looking at this as being wave 4, we're potentially at it. 56K might be the low. Maybe we've got a little bit further to go. So hopefully it's clear that my view is that markets are still going up, but it was time for a correction. With that in mind, my thoughts have been that anything under 60K has been a pretty damn good buying opportunity if you were still putting your positions together for Bitcoin. I've also been on record to say that altcoins have been a good time, provided you find the strong ones. It's been a relatively good time to be accumulating before that next leg up. Doesn't mean they can't go lower. It's altcoins. At the end of the day, they're very volatile. But I think this is a good time because you can see that the heat is out of the market, the greed is out, the interest is definitely out. You can see Bitcoin on the Google search trends is definitely down, and it's similar to what we looked at in 2020. Basically the same experience as we had in 2020 before that mega run to the upside. So we had the halving. May was the halving of 2020. The market had a little bit of interest, died off again, and then started to climb back before we had that last mania stage of the bull market. You can see we've had the halving itself around here. The interest has started to die off. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a return to some interest with the dying off again. And then we return to this final stage of the mega mania stage where basically everyone's talking about cryptocurrencies, and it's not just everyone here from the last cycle. It still kind of feels like that a lot of people have stuck around this time. 2021, 2022 entrants have stayed around, and then as there's been a bit more interest in the market, a few new people have joined, but overall it's basically all of us here from the previous cycle and potentially the cycle before that in 2017. Maybe you're even here from 2013, who knows? But essentially that's what it looks like at the moment until we start to see some more interest coming back into Bitcoin and cryptos. There definitely hasn't been as much fear in this correction compared to what we've seen in the past, and the lowest we got was only into fear at 43. So we've looked at the interest in terms of search term, the market sentiment really hasn't cooled off that much. And I've also said several times before that I think this has been the most greedy or least feared bull market of all time. And all time basically takes us back to 2018. Throughout that period, or throughout all the years here, so going back past 2018 to 2022, there was many times where the market sentiment dropped back into extreme fear. However, this cycle, like you can see here, extreme fear is under 25, so somewhere around that line there. We haven't even gone close to it after we had the FTX collapse, after we've all experienced that FTX collapse of November 2022, and it just has not gone back to that zone. Has that been enough to clear out the extreme greed in order to get us to those higher prices? We'll find out. Maybe it has. I'm still a little bit skeptical until we start to see things break down, whether it's below or higher. But at the end of the day, that's where we sit. That's what we have to work with. So for now, at least we're still seeing the price maintain in that $60,000 region. Ultimately, there's still plenty of strength in these markets, plenty of headlines coming out with more funds buying up BTC, $438 billion asset manager Susquehanna, correct me if I'm wrong, buys 1.3 billion. They bought it across all these different funds. Money's going into Bitcoin. What else are we seeing? ETF flows themselves have basically been negative the last couple of days, only by a fraction, so cancel it out. And we're seeing the most outflows altogether. The biggest outflow of all time actually came at the low. Think about that as well. And some of the biggest inflows came at the peaks. Keep that one in your toolbox going into the next peak. If you start to see these things hitting new all-time highs after new all-time highs, people getting very excited that ETFs are buying everything and it's never going to go down, just remember back to the limited history that we do have here. But typically you'll see that as a massive positive to the market. Well, the masses will see that, yet it's probably getting a little bit spicy at that time. Same deal happens at the bottoms. A lot of outflows, a lot of negativity, and basically the market bounced from that point at this stage. Now, I've got the altcoins to get into, but just as a quick recap for the stock markets, looking at the strengths, talking about the cycles, you can still see the trading ranges happening here. The grind is going on. Markets are still heading up overall when we zoom out, as we like to do. But in the short term, you're definitely seeing some stronger signs here that it's possible that these are going to be the lows, or at least a significant low for the next stage of the move. So it'd be something to measure from moving forward. SP500 doing pretty damn well. It is now sitting 1.7% away from a new all-time high. You've got the NASDAQ also putting in some pretty decent gains here, breaking past the 50% after it got rejected, down on 50%, higher lows, breaks back again. Currently 2.6% away from a new all-time high. And around the world, looking at the UK. The UK also had their official bank rate announcement. They maintain, they stay on hold, 5.25%. Guess what? The UK hits another new all-time high this week. We had Tuesday, new all-time high. Wednesday, new all-time high. Thursday, new all-time high. Today, the market just opened after hours. Friday, another new all-time high. So this is a country that has been in a technical recession, smashing to new, fresh all-time highs. I remind myself of this every day because there is just a lot of negative talk around markets and how the economy is collapsing and cracking. At the end of the day, you make money from trading the markets. New all-time highs, pretty straightforward when you see the chart patterns of consolidation, breakouts, and then new all-time highs. Yes, there's always going to be the end of a cycle come from a new all-time high or a very significant high. That's how it works. But to try and short this all the way up, probably a massive fool's game. So overall, things are still looking healthy when it comes to the cycles themselves. We've gone through the stock markets. We've had a look at the longer-term cycles for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at some altcoins and the strength in a chart. Now, I did this the other day, just saying, not mentioning any names. You can read the name in the top corner there if you feel like it. But the main thing I want to focus on as a technical trader is, of course, the chart. Not getting too attached to the 3, 4, 5 letters in the top corner, attaching that emotion to a particular project and ecosystem and all this sort of jazz. I just want to focus on the chart and refine my craft as a technical analyst. And so in that chart, I'm seeing strength above a 50% level. When I zoom out, it's bounced off the 50. It's now taken out the next 50% level. So that's showing me that it's in the strong half. And this is the major strong half. And this is the next time frames strong half of that tool, 50%. And here we are, we continue up. So this is something you guys have seen me talk about now for quite some time, where you can just see that strength continue to shine. It doesn't mean that we're going to go to new all-time highs from here. I've circled some of the time frames that it's taken for, in this case, render, to at least start to put in some sort of low. You can see it a little better on the logarithmic here. You can see the lows here. It took about 2 months to put that low in, and then it basically rallied pretty damn hard into that top. You can see another roughly 2-month period into that higher low, and it would be less time into this low here. Let's have a look. That would be about 31 days. So basically 1 month into the low, 2 months into that higher low, and then you get that explosive move. You can see the strength of that move to the upside. So it takes time to build for the explosive moves. And this one here is about 3 months to this major low. move it across to the higher low, about 120, just a bit more than 120 days. So again, 4 months there to get to that next explosive move. So it has to build to get to those moves. And right now we're at 53 days. To that low was about just short of a month. So this might be a little early, even if it does get to a new all-time high. I just think it might be a little early for the whole stage to be set in order to get a massive pump. You might get a little pump, and I mean by little pump, you'll get break past the all-time high. But typically, what you see time and time again is the longer consolidation period, even if it is trickling down. So from here, and it just started to trickle down over the next couple of months, if of course, then that should build for a bigger boom whenever that time comes. And we'll start to notice that with those higher swing lows forming. You can see the low, then the higher low, then the higher lows, and the higher lows. You can just start to see that speed of the move really increase. By speed, you're looking at a line like that. So with that in mind, use that analysis, put it across the altcoins that you might be looking at. Pepe, meme coin, crazy enough, is doing similar things, putting in those lows, got back above 50%, breaking those tops again above 50%. Not to say this is going to boom, but at least it's showing stronger signs than weaker things, which are not breaking past their lows, not breaking past 50%. So this is the strength in something like that. Ton coin, another one's got something of strength to show. It did rally into this peak later than most and put in the low later than most. At the moment, just a day above that 50%. So that is a sign of strong altcoins here. And then a weak coin list, just to give an example here, you can see the differences. Just in terms of a chart itself, that would be a much, much weaker chart. Forget the name up here. I think a lot of these projects are doing good things for the ecosystem. They're doing great things for cryptocurrency, but they're just not showing strength in the chart. You want to be making money as opposed to getting married to the altcoin and and getting tied up with the hopes and dreams of this thing eventually going to pay off. Kind of like the XRP folks. They're still in their 7-year dream.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. I didn't do fucking shit.
There's been no break of 65K. Could that 65K break coincide with a breakdown on the USDT dominance chart here? If it did, that would all sort of work out within the theory that 65K strong level to watch, and we would start to see higher prices sooner rather than later. Like the video, let's go 3,500 likes. Hope you found a ton of value from today's video, and I'll see you back with another video very soon. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe out there if you are surfing, a few sharks about, and until next time, take care and peace out.